Hey, great dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Did you enjoy your week off last week?
I didn't have, well, I
Well,
wouldn't call it a week off
we didn't do
because
the
I say,
show.
oh, okay. Um, well, I would rather been doing the show than having to watch my baby girl go through surgery.
True, 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 true. Yes,
Yeah.
but
So, yeah,
I, I got to say from my side, I mean, I love what we do. I absolutely
yeah,
love what we do, but it did feel good having a little bit of a break,
yeah.
for sure.
Well, you didn't have to sit in the 100 and billion degree weather.
No,
And I'm
no.
exaggerating, y'all. I can exaggerate, so it's okay. But no, it's really like 107, 108, and it's been that way at night. And then um it doesn't get cool. Like the cool for us now is 98 at night.
Yeah, waking up in the morning, and I get up well, I'm awake between 5:30 and 6:30, and I'm out of the
Hmm.
bed and going at about 7:30 or so. And walking Bailey in the morning, it's about 80, but it's like
Yeah,
that muggy 80. Although we
it's like
had a
that
nice cool
humidity.
breeze, we
It,
had a nice cool breeze here this
mhm.
morning.
Yeah,
But
this morning was our nicest morning that we've had, and it was like 83, and it was nice.
But anyways, welcome back. Welcome everybody to the Twisted Pair. I think this is going to be a unique and challenging pairing for us. And as you can tell by the background, we're talking about dessert wines tonight.
Yes. And my thing was like, oh, it'd be nice to have a dessert. And I was like, oh, we should have a dessert with the dessert wine and the cigar. But I'm going to put some caveats. There's a couple caveats why I didn't follow through and say, hey, let's do that. A, it's hotter than you fill
It's
in the
hotter than
blank.
hot. Yes, it's hotter than
Yeah,
hot.
okay. I'm going to let you can fill whatever blanks you want in. B, like when it's that hot, you don't want to eat outside. I don't care.
No.
And another thing is I think that we wouldn't have gotten the whole dessert wine experience. I think it's like you need to at least have a dessert wine with the cigar to try it. And, and I'm talking about something super sweet when we're talking about dessert wine.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember in
Like,
our first promotional post, I listed
mm-hmm,
the different styles, and
mm-hmm,
there are so many different styles, and even within
right.
those styles,
There's a lot of different
there's
styles.
different styles. But I mean, you have your sweet, less sweeter, your full
Mm-hmm,
sweeter, your fortified, your sparklings,
right.
and so forth. There's like five different main styles of
Mm-hmm,
sweet wines, and
right.
and a lot of people, when it comes to really good quality dessert wines, and a lot of people just immediately think of
What?
some of your sparklings, your ports, your sherries, and your infused flavored ones,
Right,
which all are great categories, but there's other different styles
right.
of the sweet ones, and the process that they use to make those is so much different than, I mean, there's some significant differences between
Mm-hmm.
that and your standard dries, semi-dries, and even
Right.
your whites and your reds. So I was
Yeah.
excited about this when you made this recommendation.
Well, thank you.
So,
I'm trying to change it up.
which one? What are you coming with the pairing? What pairing did you come
Okay,
with?
so I have to like sit there. This is a chocolate red blend, so I went like you know the chocolatier, you know, with the
Yes.
blended.
Uh huh.
Um, and and the reason is I want people to go outside the box, of this because most people wouldn't do this. But it's kind of it's got like black cherry, blueberry, plum with a kiss of a rich velvety dark chocolate. So the thing is I've had this before,
Yes.
you know, because I've smoked a cigar and I wanted to do like a different wine with it because I was like, I don't want a red wine. I wanted more than just a sweet wine. And so I went with this, and I was so like by itself, I would not drink this wine. That's just me.
Right.
Because it's like too much. Like the chocolate and it's just like way too much. And I'm not like I'm not a sweet. I'm not big on sweets. There's only certain sweets, and then I can only have I get my fill of those sweets pretty quickly.
See,
I'm
I
not
thought
one to. You
I
thought it was
thought
going to
you
be
were gonna.
opposite.
No, I thought you were gonna say. You see, I'm not a sweet girl, and I was just gonna have to cut you off right then and there.
Well, that's part of it. If you really know me, you know that I'm not like the sweetest person. Um, so I think that's kind of like why I wanted to do this one again is because with the cigar, it took that edge off the wine.
Right.
So that was one cigar. So now I'm actually going to try it with a different cigar and kind of see how it goes. And I want to think, and I always say his name incorrectly, so I apologize. It is Diab Allen. He owns a cigar shop out in Ohio, I believe. So he has created his own. It's not necessarily house blend, but six, but he does sell these in a 5 pack. Don't let the feminine colors fool you. I love the fact that he went with softer colors. Um, and so he gifted me these cigars to try. And the last couple ones I've had were like knocked out of the park, and it was really good. So I went with a Habano, and he had a Habano, and I thought it was really pretty and
Hmm.
girly to go with my chocolate wine. And yeah, there we go.
So I went a completely different route.
You
So
did.
so where
You
you're going
you
with a.
zagged.
I did. I was gonna go with a sherry. I was looking at some sherries, and then I talked to my wine buddy. There at Bear Creek Wine and Spirits, a little plug for my friends out
Hmm.
there. And I asked Rector, I said, look, I want a good sweet wine for our show tonight. And he's like, you're doing sweet wines on your show tonight? It's like, yeah, yeah. He goes, man, I wish I could tune in. And it's like, well, you can watch the replay later, but I'm looking for a sweet
Hmm.
wine. And he goes, I got the perfect one for you. And so this is a Petit Girard, and it's a Sauternes. And so what this is a this is a white Bordeaux.
No, yeah, hold it. Oh, it's the label on the back. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay,
So the label on the back,
yeah.
as you can see. So this is a white Bordeaux, and a Sauternes is a sweet wine. And what is the big difference in these is that they stop the fermentation before the sugars are all eaten up by the yeast. And there's a number of different ways that they stop it, and one of the ways that they can stop it is by a cold shock. Through a cold shock. So
Hmm.
it's like they're taking it and freezing it, um, or sometimes that they will let that fermentation process continue on until the yeast is all gone, and then they'll add sugars in the form of other natural sugars, or it's like in a brandy, and then that's how they kind of take it into a fortified, depending upon if they're wanting to do a fortified or non-fortified. So this a Sauternes is not a fortified; it is a white wine. It is a white Bordeaux that is a sweet one.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often.
No.
That was kind of like when you said you were doing that. I was like, what? I had to take a second glance on it.
So, what I'm smoking with, and we want to use this as like also a little bit of a lesson, and I didn't do it on purpose, but it kind of works out that way. So I'm
Yeah.
smoking the LFDM, and you'll notice here that there's some cracking in it. When I brought it outside, there was this wrapper was perfect, was not cracked, but because it's still 104 degrees at 7-Eleven, and I brought this out at about 6:30 or so, so about 30 minutes before the show, directly out of my humidor instead of letting it come to temperature inside the house. And then out here, I just brought it from being, sitting at 65% humidity immediately out here, that humidity shock of it being gone and dry, and now it's cracked.
Yeah.
So it's just something, and we've talked about this. We've talked about
Hmm.
what the weather can do. So here's proof in the pudding of we're not bullshitting you. We might know a thing or two about cigars. And then the other thing I wanted to do is, if you can, I don't know if you can see the line, but the line on the cap comes at an angle on
Hmm.
this. And so what I'm going to do before I cut it is I'm going to eye where that line is, and then I'm going to cut it at an angle. So you can see I'm cutting it at an angle. And the reason why I'm doing that is that gives me a little bit more surface space for the draw.
And
And
plus,
so,
you'll experience more of a full flavor than what you're
yes,
getting, as opposed if you just like
snip the tip.
you snip the tip, like if you circumcised it.
Yeah, we don't want to snip the tip.
So it opens it up on that. Just a FYI. That's why you do that.
Yep.
So and one thing is like you're gonna see me probably light my cigars several different times, and y'all are probably gonna say, "What is that noise?" And for everybody who's jumped on the comments, hello y'all, hello, thanks for tuning in. Drive safely, Chris, to El Paso, and thank you for listening while you drive. Um, but the thing is like when you have a fan directly, y'all, I'm like, even though I'm in my garage and it's normally like I do have AC and I do have a fan. Well, today I don't have my AC because I forgot to pre-maintenance. So I just have it as a fan blowing on me. But I'm in like a hot metal box, so it's hot, as what we said earlier. So whenever
Oh
you have
yeah.
a fan that's kind of blowing or whatever, you're gonna have to relight your cigar a couple more times. So if y'all see us doing that, it's not because of that. It's because, well, I have a fan. Graybeard doesn't. I don't think he has a fan on him.
I
He's
don't have a
manning it
fan, but
out like man of the
I
year right there.
I do have a nice breeze that's coming through, so that's that's helping. But yeah, and the other thing that you will notice when you're smoking your cigars outside, and so I've talked to so many people, it's like, oh man, the hottest I can handle it is 95. It's like, oh come on, man up. I'm out here and it's
Yeah,
105, but not here where it's
yeah.
110. But that being said, the hotter temperatures is much drier, so you would think that it would burn easier, burn more even. That's not the case at
No.
all. It's not the case at
So
all. So
So note the construction issues are not of the cigar; it is of the conditions of weather, and we talked about that. So and like the humidity, you've got to watch all that. So
so
this
I'm
is
curious
like
what
phenomenal.
what glass are you pouring in?
A tulip base. I need a
So
tulip base.
I got a little pet peeve here. I gotta
I know it's
let
not like a dessert one.
no, it's not, and mine's not a dessert wine glass either. But I got a little bit of a pet peeve, and this is about restaurants. Okay, so some of had a date with on Friday night with a beautiful woman. She's into wines, and we go into this restaurant, and it's a BYOB, and so we brought in a beautiful Italian
I'll talk
red
about it.
red red blend. It was a Tuscan, not a super Tuscan, but it was a Tuscan. And uh, they I asked the maitre d, do we need to bring in our own glasses? And he goes, no, we've got the glasses. So he brings out the glasses and pours our wine for us, and it's a that big of an
No.
that big of an opening and that deep of a wine glass. And so she and I are looking at each other, and I'm like, I've got wine glasses in the car. She goes, "You want to go get them?" I said, "I'll be right back." So I went out and got my wine glasses from there.
Yeah.
Two of these, and but I left them there at the restaurant. I forgot them there.
Oh, dang, that sucks.
So
Oh,
my pet peeve is come on people, I mean especially an Italian restaurant, step up. You know what kind of glasses we want, and if you're going to a finer, I mean it's not like this was a very posh high society Italian restaurant, but it wasn't a I mean it wasn't a Catalina's or an Olive Garden either.
right.
It was a nice Italian restaurant. Know your wines, know your glasses. And maybe that's just the snobby som in me talking there. I don't know, but yeah, that's
No, I wouldn't have handled that very well, But a lot of people do call me a snob, so yeah, that's okay. I will. I will tell you, I don't treat the personnel or staff. I'm not a snob towards them. You know,
no, no, no,
I'm a
no, no.
snob about for what like I want to smoke and I want to do because I only want the best. So
I I mean I didn't say anything to them about it. I just went out and got my glasses, brought them
yeah,
in, we transferred them over. We both noticed that they were, a little dusty, musky because they'd been sitting in my
yeah.
cabinet for a while, and so we asked
Oh,
him if he would, just give them a quick washover,
hmm
and perfectly, happy to do that. Service was phenomenal. The food was
hmm
really good. Um, I mean, it was a great time. It's just the only complaint was is that they didn't know what kind of glass to use for the kind of wine.
yeah. Um, this is really good. Like I don't even know if I want to have my wine.
This one's really good, and you know how I mean I love this I love this cigar. I love the wrapper. It's a it's an Ecuadorian. It's a double wrapper. So it's a Nicaraguan. I want to say that it's a Nicaraguan. The dark part, the Maduro shade right there.
Hmm
That's a that is a Criollo,
Oh,
and
I've
then
been on I've been on a Creole kick here recently.
the rest is an Ecuadorian Sumatra.
Ooh.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get that nice fruity notes to match with the wine,
Hmm
but also is going to provide a nice balance to it.
Yeah.
And then everything else is all Dominican and Honduras fillers. With obviously some Lajero because LFD is
hmm
known for their Lajeros. I
hmm
mean, it even states it right there.
Yeah. It's like their
But
main car.
I, the other thing I want to talk about this is, we're keeping the band on just because it's cracked there. Doesn't
Help
mean you
protect
can't.
it.
Yeah, the band protects it as long as you don't
hmm
ravel it and unravel it. You don't, play
Don't
around
touch
with
it.
it. You can
Don't
smoke.
lick it.
You no, do not lick it.
Ah, don't
But
lick it,
you can
y'all.
you can smoke down through it.
Yeah, you can smoke through it, and it will still give you the flavor. They actually have it. Like if, like, say for the summertime, they do have this. The oil that they use, they do sell it on Amazon. So, like, if you tend to smoke outside and you don't like slowly take your cigars out and let them get used to the other humidity, and then go out to the other humidity, they do have oil that you can patch it, and I've actually done that before because I didn't set them out. I was just too lazy.
I,
And I'm just
I've
gonna admit it.
I've done that before when I did exactly what I did today, or when I've cut too deep and the caps I mean the wrapper started unraveling.
Yeah.
So yes, I have done that as well. Um, I'm
So
excited to try this wine.
so I just kind of want to say, like, so far from the notes that I'm getting from my cigar, it is I'm getting that earth. Habanos have got that earth, but it's got that sweet, sweet hay.
Mhm.
That, like, how that sweet hay can have a floral notes to it.
Mhm.
That is what I'm getting. Retro hoe is like a sweet cream, like almost like a not like a sweet cream, but it's like you're taking that sweet hay and it's it's not powerful. So I'm curious about how this is going to pair with the wine.
I am too, especially considering the one that you're drinking is a chocolate infused wine. And everybody know there is a difference between infused and flavored.
Hmm.
It's not the infusion of this, those chocolate flavors, those chocolate notes are added during the fermentation process. Whereas the
So
flavored, it would be added afterwards. So it's like it's more of an additive on it.
yeah, so like this one, it says chocolate wine on it, so it's through the process. It's not like added.
Yeah,
It's
if you
not an
see,
afterthought.
it's not no, it's not an afterthought. It's something, and most of them aren't. But I have had like some chocolate flavored wines, and and they're not as good.
And the thing is like on this, you still get how like you smell a red sweet wine, you smell a red wine,
Yeah.
and it's kind of got that bold red in your face. This is a little bit more dilute, so you think it's going to be like a red calm flavor. Yeah, and I'm starting to get some pepper, and I wanted to say hi, Joe.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi,
Joe.
Joe,
Hello.
and
I got some pepper.
one of the things that Chris had mentioned was he mentioned that he has had some ice wines over the years that he's enjoyed, and they are on the sweeter side.
Hmm.
Again, it's what they've done is that they've shocked the process in that by taking them down to freezing temperatures and then allow them to continue aging at the freezing temperatures as they're
Hmm.
bringing them back up. And that shocked process is what stops the fermentation and allows all the sugars to continue on. So that's and ice wines tend to be very expensive. This bottle here, this size, this 375 was I want to say it was 15 dollars, and a 750
What?
on this would be 75 for this one, and this is a 2017 vintage. So I'm excited about that.
It feels like I'm having like a chocolate raspberry.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I
went
have
ahead
a
and started without you. I'm sorry.
no.
I guess I
I
should have done my wine first, and I didn't. I was just like ready to go. I don't know what's with me today. So my apologies,
oh,
y'all.
I started. I've already started, and I'm enjoying this. Okay,
Mm.
so we're going to take a brief moment, and we are introducing a segment right now that we hope to find some sponsors for. And so let me introduce you to our new segment here. So, what kind of events do we have coming up, Red?
Yes, I'm going to tell the event. The party girl is going to tell the event. So, one that we are excited for just happens next month. Y'all, August came in, and here, I'm going to say this real quick. August says Leos because I'm a Leo, okay? We are loud, we're proud, and we roar, and we're like, ah, we're in your face. That's just Leos. That's
Hmm.
us. And that's the month of August. Like when you come in, August is here because it's hotter than everything. It announces itself. But like I feel like August is like all of a sudden just came in and it's about almost over. Seriously, it seems like it's almost over. Uh, so this event, the first event that we're talking about, is with Blow and Smoke, and on September the 20th, they are having a Blow and Smoke Fest. It's a multi-vendor event. So, and it is on Saturday, September the 9th. It is from 4 to 10. But you can also purchase an early bird. If you purchase your ticket in advance, you will get in at 3. So you'll be able to get into the thing.
A
And
VIP ticket.
a VIP ticket. And and it comes with a swag bag that's got cigars, a bag that's got cigars. And they have live music, they have food, they have raffles. So it's going to be like, you've heard us talk about like the NFG. It's going to it's very similar to that. And for Blow and Smoke, we've had the beautiful owner, um, Edwina,
Edwina, yep.
on. And so she's been on the show. So we're excited. In fact, we are going to be there. Graybeard and I are going to be there. We're going to
Yes,
be
we are. Excited
there. So,
about that.
yes. Then October the 28th in Nacogdoches, Texas, they have a cigar fest, and it actually starts the 27th. So the night they have like a pre-party the night before, and they have like music, and they have a cigar roller to kind of start things up like a pre-party. And our very good friend Karen and Bruce are going to be at this event. And so it's going to be on the 28th, and it's from 3 to 8. And again, they have live music, they have food, raffles. So those are what's going on. Blowing Smoke is over in Lancaster,
Nope.
like Dallas.
Yeah,
It's like Dallas. The address says Lancaster, but it's like Dallas. It's like one of
it's
those.
like right on the border of
Yeah,
DeSoto,
DeSoto,
Lancaster.
Lancaster, Dallas. It's like right there. It's that hub. Um, and then this one is in Nacogdoches, Texas. Like,
Nacogdoches.
yes, that's where Stephen F. Austin is, and it's got the lumberjacks. You will find both of these events on our website,
I
or at least
have to
one.
add this. I have to add Blowing Smokes onto the events. But yes, yes. And so please go check out the websites. Okay, so news. We have got some spirit news, so some whiskey news, and we have some cigar news. And I'm really excited about the cigar news because this just makes such a big impact and such a good win for the cigar industry. So I'm going to leave that one for last. First and right up
Ah,
front,
jeez.
Molson Coors, the beer company, the
Mm-hmm.
second largest beer company, right behind Anheuser-Busch. And I did not know this till we got this in the press release. They have Coors Spirits, where they are doing their spirits side and branching out.
Yeah, I
So
think
they
that's
have,
cool.
I think it's amazing. For an undisclosed amount, they recently purchased Blue Run Spirits.
Mhm. Yes.
So now they own Blue Run Spirits. And so when that whole purchase came out, a bunch of us were wondering, okay, well they just announced a future $51
Hmm.
million location distillery in Georgetown, Kentucky. And are they still going to do it? Absolutely, they are. In fact, the architect that's behind this is the architect that has designed many of Google's buildings, and Google's buildings are just pretty damn cool.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I was like, they
So
have like, I might want to go work there.
it real exciting about excited about that. This one came out this morning. I mean, this is hot off the presses. I think
Your
we
hands are
were
burning.
yes, we were like I want to say we were like the third or fourth website to put this out.
Woo!
That hot off the presses. Elijah Craig Bourbon is releasing their limited edition toasted barrel, finished in European oak barrels, for the as a commemoration for 2023 Ryder Cup. Now, a little bit, if you
Oh.
didn't know, Elijah Craig has been the bourbon and whiskey for the PGA, the Women's PGA, the tournament,
Hmm.
the championship. So now they're adding the Ryder Cup, this commemorative edition of it. And what's exciting about it is that not only is it finished, so it's their standard small batch. So,
Hmm.
you go and you buy the Elijah Craig small batch. It's a standard small batch, completely fully matured, fully finished. So it's been aged, and it's 3 to 5 years. And
Hmm.
then they finish it in this European oak barrel, which is a let's see if I can find this. This is a from the same barrels that are used in the Lazio wines in Rome, Italy. And they chose to go that route because
Hmm.
in Rome is where the Ryder Cup is going to be held this year.
Hmm.
So, commemoration, you can go out to the website, read the full press release
That's
on
pretty cool.
this, see the beautiful bottle and the design of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm excited about that too. Now, back in 2016, FDA had put some legislation before the courts that they wanted to regulate premium cigars in the same way that cigarettes,
Cigarettes.
cigarellas, vapes are all being regulated. And we've been fighting this
Yeah.
for 7 years.
Yeah. And it was, and if this would have, if this passed or would have passed, it would have put most boutiques out of business.
Most boutiques, in fact, some of our friends in the boutique industry did leave the industry because they weren't able to meet the regulations that was in place, even to some degree, even though, the legislation hadn't passed. Well,
Right.
as of today, Judge Amit Mahita, who is the same judge that has been fighting for us, and thank God that he was the
Hmm.
one that's judged, has ruled in favor of the premium cigar industries, meaning that this deeming regulations introduced by the FDA in 2016 are gone. They're fully vacated. That means there's no as the only regulation
Hmm.
is that for it to fall into this is that the cigar has to meet the definition as prescribed by the government of what a premium cigar is.
Right.
So all of our boutiques are safe.
Yay! Happy dance.
This is a huge, huge, huge win for us, and so
Mhm.
excited. Celebratory cigars, celebratory pairing, and
Mhm.
now back to the pairings. I don't know
Okay.
about you, but I'm really enjoying both of these together. So much that I haven't even stopped to focus in on this, and I was nervous about it because of it being a sweet wine, and you know how we've had experiences with other sweet things in the
Sweetness.
past.
But like mine is like a chocolate, like just the wine by itself. It's like a chocolate cherry, and it's not one of those like. And if you know me, you know I'm not a fan of chocolate covered cherries. I don't like them. But this is like, yeah, graveyard does. Um, this is like really, I'm enjoying the wines. It's like, chocolate cherry. It's not too much of the cherry and it's not too much of the chocolate. So that is nice. So, but whenever had the cigar and then I went there, it was more of a chocolate raspberry, which is
That's
interesting that it
interesting.
made the, yeah,
This is very
that's
very
funny.
complimentary. There's
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any change one way or the other, but neither are overpowering. Both are able to stand up to each other. Nothing is off-putting about it. This is just a really nice, balanced pairing on that, which is really, I mean, it's honestly a rarity in what we've been able to, you know, explore and discover is those perfectly balanced pairings where each maintains its own flavors and are very complementary of each other.
Now, I noticed that Joe said that he really hasn't gotten into much wines recently. So I'm just curious, like, why he hasn't dove into the wines, or if he had wines and he didn't like it. I'm curious. And if you're watching, if you're not a fan of wine, like, is it because, what is it about the wine? Because I think that everybody has, like, we've all had that one wine, or it's been really, really dry or something, and you haven't really explored other ones. Um, and like Great Beer would tell you this, I'm not a white wine person. I really don't enjoy the white wines. And I tend to go for more of the sweeter reds.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just my thoughts and my
I,
opinions.
I mean,
So,
me myself, I enjoy my white wines, but I tend to go for the more full-bodied,
hmm
dry, full flavored reds myself. So,
and I know,
I'm kind of with you.
and I know that, like, for example, my sister, she loves wine, like huge wine. She loves red wines, but she gets, even if she has a small glass, she gets major migraines. So she can't, and she's like, ever since I hit 50, I can't do it anymore. Like it gets worse each year. So I'm wondering, like, if some people have been turned off for that experience or for whatever. But I'm just curious, like, if you have not, like, if it's wines, why isn't it a big thing? And I know for me, and here's my thing is like I know that I like my wines cold. It doesn't matter what I'm drinking. I'm gonna have it cold. You know.
Well, and
And this is where
there's
he
a
comes in.
no there's a reason behind that. Um, with white wines, we keep them in the refrigerator
Hmm
typically. A good practice or good rule of
Right.
thumb for the whites is that you pull them out of the refrigerator 20 minutes
hmm
before you're ready to drink it.
Right.
With the reds, it's the reverse. You put it into the refrigerator 20 minutes before you drink it. And that allows them both to come down or come up to their optimal temperatures. In your champagnes,
hmm
you want them to be even a little bit colder. Colder, which I don't remember, and I had to know the temperatures for my SOM test. Uh, there's like five different ranges that for
hmm
different styles of wines. And ports are different. Your sweet wines are different. So depending upon the type of wine it is. But just general practice, pull your whites out 20 minutes before, put your reds in 20 minutes before. And then
Right.
when you're ready to drink it, pull them out and they'll be at that,
Optimal.
they'll be at that optimal temperature for the style of wine that it is.
So I'm enjoying cigar to wine. So I'm gonna try it the other way because I did, and it wasn't like very enjoyable. So I'm gonna try it again.
Man, this is so good. The wine itself, it's got some deep pear and apple pear notes, which is typical for a Bordeaux, a white Bordeaux, or a Chardonnay that was grown in the warmer climates. But it has a little bit of a citrus on the back end of it, and it is sweet all the
Mhm.
way through. So this is beautiful. I highly recommend for you
Mhm.
to try one of these.
Yeah, I actually would go. I think I'd try that. I would.
Mm,
Um, I'm just like, this is one. This is a pairing. So this is like when we're talking about complementary pairing. This is one that you. It's like it's such a good thing because like I enjoyed the wine to the cigar. It's one that you can kind of forget that you're pairing and why you're pairing it and just go with it and just have a conversation. That's the difficult thing about complementary pairing because it's just nice, it's relaxing, it's chill, and they're, you know, it's just like I'm having a cigar with Graybeard and we're just chilling and talking about our week. That's the
yep.
danger of complementary pairings whenever you do them on a show.
Yep, I agree. And when they're just so perfectly balanced between each other,
Hmm.
as far as flavors, as far as intensity, as far as body, the body of the cigar doesn't overpower the body of the wine. The body of the wine doesn't
Hmm.
overpower the body of the cigar. And it's easy to do. If you have a full body, meaning that the weight of the smoke, the viscosity of the smoke is very heavy, which you don't want in when it's still 101 degrees at 8 p.m. Um, you want a nice lighter to medium body, and this is a medium body cigar. So
Right,
that the it feels comfortable in the mouth.
right.
The mouthfeel, the weight matches and hits perfectly with the wine, and it's
Hmm.
so easy for one to overpower
Hmm.
the other, especially with wines. That's why wines are so difficult to pair uh, really anything with, unless you have a sommelier there, or you have somebody who, really knows about the different types of pairings, from
Hmm.
flavors and acidity and saltiness and citrus and tannins, and all of the aspects of it that comes into it. This is really good.
Well, and I'm going to tell you why. Because, like, with wines, because, you know, like, I would just always get with, like, my dad, my mom, my sister, my nephew. Because my nephew is actually a wine sommelier. And I don't think I've ever told you that. My nephew is actually a wine sommelier. And
No, you didn't.
yeah, uh, real young, too, when he became one. And worked at restaurants. He actually worked for, I can't remember what wine place it was, but I mean, he was like the main person who was like tasting, blending, and like picking out the wines for them to have. So, like, I'll have to go back and look because, he did that. So, I usually will look at his page to kind of see what he's going, but he has such a huge palette and a variety that he goes for. It was for me. It was overwhelming because I think is like it's not a part of our culture, you know,
Mm,
like whiskeys, bourbons, cigars, beers, coffee. It's like the American way. I mean, it's like America. You think about like how we were trying to figure out how, and I'm going to give you a backstory about bourbons and wines and stuff. Well, mainly bourbons. And when we were trying to figure out how we were going to pay for the war against Britain, and we're sitting there thinking, how can we do this? We owe so much. We're in debt. We owe like even George Washington owed private people. Like he borrowed money under his name to help pay for the war. Thus, the Washington, he did whiskey. And I think it was Thomas Jefferson. So a lot of the founding fathers, if you look, they actually grew the wheat and stuff and would produce bourbons and whiskeys. A lot of people don't realize that. And that's helped pay off the debt for the war. And then it just became like, okay, they did it, it grows easily. So thus we became like a whiskey. And we said to England, we weren't going to have the tea, we were going to have coffee because of the taxes. So I when we were founding and coming out as a new country, it was coffee, whiskey, and rye.
Yep.
Those were the three things. And it's kind of like we turned our back on Europe and everything. And I think that's why we don't have the exposure to the wine because it was a lot of old world wines, you know.
Well, if you think about it, it wasn't until the late 50s, early 60s, and even into the 70s when California wines were starting to be
Hmm.
recognized and starting, the Napa wines were starting to be recognized
Right.
um, in there. So in relation, and billionaire, great question. I want to get to that in a minute. In relation to the whiskeys, you know, during the American Revolution, it was a lot of Irish and Scotsmen that was leaving that and coming over here to the United States. So they were bringing their practices. You're
Hmm.
absolutely 100% right. George Washington actually created the first rye that was
Hmm.
sold. And so ryes are really predecessors of bourbons here, and bourbons just took off
Right.
because of its sweeter profile. Funded the war of it. Wines was not a big part until 200
It's,
years later,
yeah.
200
19,
years,
yeah, in the 1970s,
1960s, yeah.
70s,
It's
80s,
it was, I mean,
or
that's
60s.
a massive amount of time. Now, wines are really growing and we're seeing them
Yeah.
to be more predominantly recognized. We've
Hmm.
got many award-winning
Why?
wines.
Yeah.
California's are known from
Hmm.
Napa and Sonoma, and now Paso Robles, and then you've got Willamette and Willamette and
And,
Washington. You've got
and
Oregon.
and then a lot of people may not know this. Texas has a wine country where
Oh,
we grow our own. Yeah,
we have two wine countries,
yeah,
two wine regions here.
we do. And a lot of people may not realize that, but like some of my favorite wines are Texas wines. I really, and the thing is like I grew up in Colleyville, which is right next to Grapevine. So
Hmm.
we had natural grapes. So we had a lot of like local wineries, like mom and pop wineries that a lot of people didn't have access to. And that's kind of where I grew up. So it was we always say support your local brick and mortars. And even though you know, my parents could afford whatever the best wine, whatever. My dad was big about supporting local. You support the people in your own backyard because it's
Oh,
better for your community. So, like, he when we would go to like there was this local Italian restaurant, and they had their own wines from Grapevine, and we would always get the house wine. It was called the house wine because it was there, it was done there, and so it was kind of like that. And then I didn't really start getting into wines again until I started smoking cigars.
and cigars pair beautifully with
Hmm.
wines if you know what you're doing with them. And if you don't know what you're doing with them, keep tuning in with us and reading our articles and going back and reviewing our past episodes because you will know what you're doing before long. Come to the
Right.
events that we're going to be at. I want to come back to this, but I do want to respect Billionaire's question, and
Hmm.
we've talked about this before, and I think it's just such a good subject because when we're doing pairings, it's important to have a palate cleanser. So,
Hmm.
so what is your top two or three palate cleansers, and
Okay.
and and then I'll go over mine as well.
Um, you don't see me do a lot of them, like the ones that are like when I'm digesting. Okay. So on the show, I do a quick water one, And what you'll see me do is like if you notice, I was sitting here. I'm going to show you. You'll notice me switching it in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you, especially with wine, because if y'all have ever drank wine and you go, ah, you notice your tongue, if it's a red wine, it coats the tongue, it gets on there, and it hangs out. So, and it hangs out in your teeth too. So when you need to cleanse it, it is a water go to. I can switch it around in my mouth real quick, and it like almost like a mouthwash. I use it as a
Yep.
mouthwash. I know because like I even had someone message me that said, "Why do you swish the water around in your mouth? That's really gross." Well, it's so I can taste and appreciate the cigar better. You know,
Okay,
you don't like it.
what is gross about swishing water around in your mouth? I
I,
mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I
okay,
get criticized. I get criticized a lot, but I don't care. So another thing is almonds. Almonds are
almonds. Yep.
yeah raw almonds, and you get the sliced ones are like the best. You don't want salted. You just got to get raw, naked almonds. Okay, nothing on them. And then another good one is people are going to be shocked. Saltines.
Okay, so that goes very much along the lines of what Joe said. Joe's are water, black coffee, and crackers. So crackers, saltines,
Hmm.
and that salt does kind of cut through, but
Hmm.
it's more of the carbs, the carbohydrates that's in it that help soak up some of
But you could
those notes.
you could also get those crackers, like what I call Jesus crackers. You know,
Yes, yeah, yes. No, I
uh,
know
that
that
are
like the
yeah
little oyster crackers.
yeah that aren't salty, but the saltines do better. And just make sure you swish your mouth real quick so you don't have the salt on
So
it. So there
so
you go.
mine are different than both of y'all's. But both of y'all's are really good. Every single one of them does a great job with cleansing your palate. Um, Water's quick and easy. If I'm drinking a whiskey, I'm not going to generally not going to use water if I have a choice to, because especially if that whiskey, that bourbon or that scotch has
Hmm.
got some really nice oils to it, water's not going to
Yeah.
cut through those oils. I mean, if you
No.
don't know what water and oil does, just get a bowl and put some water in it and drop some olive oil or vegetable oil in to see what it does. It forms together and just bubbles up and just kind of sits there and floats. They don't mix.
Nope.
Um, I mean, if you've ever heard the statement, don't put out an oil fire with water because it's not going to put it out.
Thank you for
Water
that.
does not good does is not a very strong palate cleanser with your bourbons because of the
Right.
oils. Now, unless it's a
Right.
younger one. Now, for me, water is one of them. I like to go with crackers as well, but I also will go to a ginger. I'll either do like a ginger ale,
Yeah.
or have sliced ginger fruit. Star fruit is another really good one.
Oh yeah.
Neutralizes those flavors, and that the
Hmm.
ginger neutralizes it. Sliced ginger. Um, those are probably my top ones. If I'm doing a whiskey tasting, I've got I've got saltines and I've got starfruit and I've got ginger there.
Yeah.
If the money's right, because that does cost me, and that cuts
Hmm.
into our profits on it. But
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
I
let's
wanted
see.
to go. So we noticed right off the bat how my wrapper was had broken because of the weather, and I did not bring it out into this hotter weather. I have not ripped it off. It's still burning right through, just fine. It is looking like it's going to explode. If it does explode, as long as I'm keeping the band on it until I get right to the band, and I have no choice but to take it off, it's very much smokable and it's not going to
Hmm.
impact it. I may have to touch it up a little bit more where the wrapper has left the binder and the fillers, just so that
Right.
that way it'll burn a little bit more uniformly. Um,
Um, oh, I was
so
gonna say, go. Oh, I was gonna say, talk about like the transition of this. Like this cigar, like this is like I would just order like a whole pack of these babies.
that's
This
exactly what I
is
was going to ask you on this. Is this a
like,
boxable? Is this a pack worthy, box worthy cigar? And is this a pairing that you would recommend?
yeah, because it's the for those who don't, I mean, if you haven't been watching and you haven't tuned into the show, or you're fairly new. For those who have, you just bear with me. But if you're new, one of my favorite things to smoke in this summer is Habano and Dominican because it, it's not that full body, it's lighter, and when you can barely breathe because of how hot it is, you want to enjoy your cigar. That's the best way I can phrase it. But it also kind of reminds me because like in the summer and springtime, I would always go see my pop down at the farm, you know, and like when I was really young, and it just reminds me he had a dairy farm. He had a dairy farm, so he's gonna have a lot of hay. You know, when you have over 7,000, 10,000 cattle, head of cattle, dairy cows, you get that strong hay. You get other smells too, but it's that strong, sweet hay when you first wake up in the morning and the dew's on it, and it's just that beautiful sweetness. And that is what I love about these cigars is it creates those memories, you know.
Yep.
Um, but like this is just like it's probably one of the sweetest. Now this is all natural. There's nothing added to it, anything. But it is one of those. It is a natural sweetness to it. And if anybody knows me, I don't like infused cigars, and I do not like sweet tips. It's just not that because I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not a sweet person, so therefore I do not partake in the sweetness of it. I don't need it. Um, but this is just like a beautiful kind of like that sweet hay, and it's one of the sweetest hays that I've had, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, shoot,
And is your pairing one that you would recommend?
I would recommend it, especially in I'm going to get a lot of, especially for someone who is new into pairing, they're new into cigars, they don't want something that's so much in their face. They want something that's just going to be, they don't have to think about it, they can just sit here and enjoy 100%.
Awesome.
How about
And
you?
would
I can already
absolutely.
tell that you would.
Yes, I would absolutely. I mean, I've almost finished the bottle, as you can tell. This is the Petit Gerard. This is Sauternes, and I've been smoking the LFD M. Uh, Box-worthy cigar? Absolutely. Is it going to be costly? Yes, this is a $20 cigar. So absolutely both of those. Okay, so we're going to be right back. And when we come back, do you jump into some of these questions?
Yeah. First, I want to hit Frederick's and the Millionaires.
Well, let's hit millionaires and Frederick's questions as soon as we come
Yeah, after,
back.
yeah.
All right.
You
So
know,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was like, wow, where are we going? And I completely forgot that we did that because it was a surprise last time. And then I had my vacation and couldn't join the show. then Lydia had surgery. And so, like, I went, like, that school. And then when it popped out, I was like, oh, yeah, this is something that I really thought was really, really cool. So, sorry, I had my blonde moment.
How funny. So I want to answer this question, and this is a non-cigar question related question, and I'd be interested in some of the comments, but I don't want to linger too much on this, but I think it's an important question to, or it's an interesting question to answer. And it's just fully an opinion related. But he goes, do you think that we'll ever go fully into a cashless society? I'm going to give my answer first.
Okay.
I I believe that we will at some point in time. And I'm pretty much cashless now, unless you count my debit cards cash. I still count my debit cards cash because there's cash
Yeah.
that's
'Cause-
behind
yeah.
it.
Right.
Now, do I feel that we're ever going to go into a credit society, a credit related society
Like
like you see
Bitcoins and all that stuff.
Bitcoins, and that's like what you see in some of the scientific movies. Bitcoins,
Yeah.
fun Bitcoins, and the bit mining has a long ways to go
Yeah.
before we will ever come into a Bitcoin society related. Do I think that we're going to come into a society where government is going to allocate and we have to do things to earn that allocation? Like some countries are already there. Yes, we are. And as a Christian, I say when we get there, be looking up because the Christ is coming back soon for
Four
us.
horsemen.
Poor horsemen will be there. So, do you want to add anything to that?
I do because, like, here's the part of economics and teachers. Cash is good for our society. It is very good for our society.
Cash is very
You
good
know,
for our society.
cash is very good.
We
Yeah.
need to fight going
If
away
we
from it.
lose it, we're gonna be, like, from the economic standpoint, we're gonna be screwed. So, as the economy teacher, that I used to teach economy and all that, government economy, I'm gonna comment on that. It's gonna f us, and people don't realize how much it's gonna f us. I'll say that.
From a
Um,
government standpoint, the more power, the more control we give to the
yeah,
government, the more they're going to control us.
yeah.
That's as political
So,
as I'm going to get.
yeah. So, here's my thing. But here's none. I hate carrying around a purse. I don't carry around a purse. Seriously, I rarely carry around a purse. I love the fact that my debit card is connected to my phone. I wish my driver's license, the state of Texas, I wish we did that because the less crap I have to keep up with, the better I am. But yeah, is there a need for cash? Yeah, I'm just gonna
and
say that.
and having a debit card or a credit card in common sense is still a cash-based society
Hmm.
because you have to pay the credit card off and
With right,
with cash
yeah.
with a cash
But, th-
transaction.
but then
And
that brings me to the point. It's like, how would they pay me?
yeah, so that's where if we ever get to a true cashless society, look out
SOL.
because Christ is on his way back to take his children home, and hallelujah, I'll be going with him. All right,
I
so
want
enough.
to. I want to answer that. Okay, I want to show Fredericks and then go back to billionaires other questions. So I think we should
Okay,
show Fredericks
I,
because
I,
he
I
does a lot of pairings with wine. Like, he
that
loves his
and
wine.
that's exactly where I was going to go. And for those who are listening and not watching, pairing my
Follow
favorite
this dude.
dessert wine, Royal Tokaji, which I almost bought that one.
I thought you were
Almost
going to
bought.
go for that one. I really
I
thought you were going to go for that one.
I well, it was a little bit higher than what I wanted to spend for the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But he went with the Royal Takashi 5 Putonos with a Herman Solomon traveling man. First serve is going well, nice peach and pear flavors being drawn out of the wine. I gotta tip my hat to Frederick because I remember when he
Yeah.
first started with us 2 years ago, and how he was just learning about pairings and just
Mm-hmm.
growing his palate. And I remember when he came
He'd
and got
message
to
us.
meet us, he would message us, got to sit down and talk with him at the underground, and um, going into talking more about the pairings. And this right here shows me that what we're doing is worth it, because we're seeing somebody enjoy their smoke and their drink so much more by bringing the two
Oh
together.
yeah, and then he does it with pears. Like if you look at his posts, he's got a whole freaking mill. Like I just want
Oh,
to just go and hang out with where like it's like him for the night, eat and drink and smoke because he's got some great
oh,
food and wine and cigars.
when
I'm
he's
like,
smoking on the
yeah.
grill, when Frederick's smoking on the grill, absolutely. So,
I want to answer this one.
please.
Okay, so when you only have a limited time, this happened to me at PTA because it's like they give you a cigar, you smoke it in front of them. Like I talked about that. Then you got to go to the next one, smoke a little bit, put it out. So, like a lot of the times, I would just let it sit there after I did the interviews, so that way it could go out. You
Mhm.
brush the ash off,
Mhm.
then you cut it, and then you put it on into its own separate bag. Yes, you do a guillotine just above, like so. Let's just say I have this much. I would go to like right about here to cut it. I'm gonna cut like right here because I want to make sure it's a fresh cut. Like I would
Mhm.
treat it as a fresh cigar. Stick it in its own Ziploc bag because if you don't, it's going to ruin and stink up your other cigars. Kind of like a flavor. Whenever you stick a flavor cigar into other cigars, so it's important that you do that because if you don't cut it, it's going to have that smoke. It's going to ruin. It's going to get everywhere.
It's going to
Um,
be 100% char if you don't.
it's yeah, and when you go to light it, it's going to taste like shit.
Yep. Yep. I
So,
always I do exactly what you do, and I take it down to where I'm just starting to see the black from the char is just starting to fade away, and the
right,
color of the tobacco is predominant.
yeah.
Um, all right. So this next question: can a cigar ring gauge be too big to smoke? I mean, the easy answer is
What
yeah. I
grade
mean,
beer I? Yes.
if it all depends upon what you can get your mouth around without too many people's minds going into the gutters. You smoke what
Okay,
you
can I
enjoy.
just say it? Yeah, smoke what you enjoy. But oh my gosh, when you guys smoke these big A cigars, y'all think about that being in a woman's mouth and that does happiness for y'all. Women think about the same thing reverse on you.
Yeah, big
But
big ring gauge
but
cigars are typically for people who smoke cigars, and it's a big D moment. So, it's a big D moment. It's a uh, I gotta smoke a
or
manly cigar. I can't have those
right,
little womanly ones in between my
right.
fingers.
But I feel more confident. That's what I get at the shop a lot. I feel more confident. But here's another thing. If your cigar is not going to taste as good, and I'm going to explain why. Because there is science that goes behind this. It's not just like, oh, let me wrap a cigar and just do whatever this. It takes years before they even release it. They've gone through hundreds of cigars to get what they want because there's a certain taste that they're looking for. The more fillers that you have in a cigar, you get more of that filler and you get less of the binder in the wrapper. So whenever I see it I say smoke what you enjoy, but am I going to be a little judgy? Not a little, probably a lot. If you're going like that lunatic, I need to put that post that picture. That lunatic was like a foot long, like this big around, ridiculous. And I mean, I was like, okay, it's a baseball bat. It is a baseball bat. But I'm like, I bet that there's no flavor at all on that stuff because of how much filler is in there. Filler, think
It,
about the word filler. Filler is just made to take up space and not provide you an enhanced cigar.
it's it's it's
It's
it's
filling it
the
up.
it's
It's like
the it
insulation.
well it's the part of the priming. It's the leaves on the stalk that are closer to the ground. So the secos and the boleros, if they have boleros on there, which is the very bottom leaf. So predominantly the secos, which has a lot of earthy flavors, tobacco-y earthy flavors, but it's primarily there for combustion. Now you
Right.
will have others. You'll have your ligeros, and they're the top ones because typically your ligeros are not going to be quality enough of a leaf for a wrapper. You can have them as a binder. So it's the visos, which is that layer right underneath the ligeros. That's our really nice looking leaves. And if you think about it, the nutrients that come from the ground go up the stalk.
Hmm.
And as they go higher up, your visas are going to take up most of the nutrients and along with the
Hmm.
lajeros. So you're going to
Right.
get a lot of flavors from those.
Right.
But the combustion rate of the lajeros is not that great
No.
compared to your secos. That's great combustion.
Right.
We want a
Right.
cigar that burns right. So now it's that
They
and
are
to
important.
it's absolutely important, but it's your filler to binder and wrapper ratio. So,
Hmm.
and what we're talking about here is your big 770s, 880s, your
Yeah.
64, which the 64 is a 1 inch. So it's 164. So that's 64 64s. So that's your 1 inch and bigger. So now you're looking at an 80. You got an inch and a
You got to
half.
bring your hand up because they can't see. Bring it up.
You
There you
you've
go.
you've got an inch and a half and an 80 on there in an 80 ring gauge. One that's not going to be comfortable typically on it. And so if you're smoking that, I would venture to call BS if you're telling me that that's for enjoyment.
But here's what I've learned, and here's my thing: is for those, it's the people who just they're not really the connoisseurs or whatever you want to call them. That A word, aficionados. I hate that word because like people say I'm aficionado, but they can't tell me anything about a cigar. No, you're not. It's the people who just enjoy the community at the lounge. They're not really into the cigars. They're just there because they like the social aspect of it.
They're the ones that's going to the sports cigar lounge without saying the name and going in and buying the biggest cigar because they want to look cool.
Yeah, and like, and another thought that comes through my mind and other people's minds is like, bro, what are you compensating for? Yeah, I went there.
Great question though. I mean, great question. So can a cigar ring gauge be too big to smoke? I say yes. But
I
in
agree.
the end, smoke what
Smoke
you
like
enjoy.
you enjoy it.
My
And like,
my
there's some people
favorite,
who don't enjoy it. They
yeah,
just went there for the company and the camaraderie, and that's okay.
my my
I'm not giving
favorite
shit.
my favorite Vitola is going to be a Corona to a Robusto.
Yeah, Robusto is like that's my sweet spot.
I love Frederick's comment when I see someone smoking a large ring gauge. I think of a college student trying to impress. Perfectly. Yep.
Yeah, but a lot of them are like in their 50s. A lot
Um.
of them in that.
Yes. Shut up. I like what Joe says also. I mean, I'm not familiar with Raw Dog by Oscar, but I gotta say, I mean, I'm very pleased with what Oscar puts out with Oscar Valladares.
Hmm.
I mean, he's a really good blender. He puts out some good stuff. So
Hmm.
I could see it being enjoyable, you know, even without the wrapper. And I've smoked many cigars without the wrapper.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah, but then like billionaire comes back, and my thing is billionaire. Are you going to reveal who you are?
I mean, this is the episode that he was going to
Yeah,
reveal who he is, so that I would know because apparently I've smoked a number of cigars with you, billionaire.
yeah.
Do you remember the very first physical retail store I went into? No, I am 56 years old. My memory is good, but it's not that good. Um, and was I overwhelmed? Um, the first physical store that I can actually remember going into, I mean, I was already in my teen years by this time, and I know I went into physical stores when I was lived out in California, but that's all preteen, and I honestly don't remember what any of their names were.
Yeah.
When we moved to Arkansas, I remember going into Kmart. I remember going into Fred's. I remember going into Piggly Wiggly. You know, grocery stores. Overwhelmed? No, not much really overwhelms me.
Um, for me, no. Like my thing's going. So, hold on. I'm gonna have to take a pause, and I hate that. My apologies. So, when I first started smoking cigars, and I would go into, like, I don't remember what the shops were. I really don't.
Red, we can't hear you over the fan, hon.
Okay. See now, oh, now I'm gonna be like graybeard and like be passed out here in a minute. As my makeup is melting off, my hair is getting crazy. Um, so
Mine is too.
so anyway, when I first started, yeah, and I have it from like I was very overwhelmed because like I was 19 when I
Oh,
started
okay. We're talking about cigar
cigar.
shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember my first one, but yeah, I was very overwhelmed with
Yeah.
how like for the first couple times, and like even though I went into like the underground, like I'll take say this is like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer. Um, I was overwhelmed, even though it was a small. Remember that
Yep.
the what you call it? It was a it was a small thing, but they had cigars floor to ceiling. But the reason I was overwhelmed was because I had never seen any of them. I wasn't familiar with boutiques, so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to smoke."
I
And
I was like a kid in a candy store my first time I went into underground, um, because it was like so maybe that kind of overwhelming, not intimidating overwhelming, but just excitement of all of these brands of cigars I've never seen, I've never tried, and I'm wanting to buy one of each of them, and I probably spent two
it
hundred
wasn't
dollars.
it wasn't because I was one that always smoked the same shit over and over, you know. And what I had wasn't there, and I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't even know what this wrapper is. I don't know what this binder is. I don't know what this leaf is. Like, what the hell are they talking about? So yeah, for me, it was, but they're the ones who pushed me to get to where I am. And the great thing about it was they just started me off and said, here, try this, and then next time we'll go a little bit deeper, we'll expand. So and that's when your tobacconist comes into play, and they can start you off easy, with it. And I'm going to say this, like a couple of weeks ago I was working at the cigar lounge, and the really cool thing is the weekend I worked, I had like 5 new smokers come to the lounge.
Oh, that's cool.
They hadn't lit up, or they didn't and if you go to like our Plano and McKinney, like we have a lot of cigars, we have different facing, like, and they just walked in and they were like, I don't know what to smoke, or they'd only smoked a couple of them. So for me, the excitement as a tobacconist was I got to, I asked them what they'd smoked before, things like that. And it was really cool helping them pick out like a starter pack. That was really fun. And and one guy was like, "Which ones do you smoke?" He's like, he'd smoked some, but he hadn't seen any of these. And he's like, which ones are your favorite? So I showed him my favorites, and he went and bought all of those, and then came back the next day, and he was like, oh my gosh, I already smoked like three out of the five. Can you start me off with some more? And one of them had smoked, and I'm not going to say the cigar brand, but one of them was used to smoking just that. And I said, hey, you're going to enjoy this cigar so much better because of da 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 da. He bought five of those. He smoked one that night. Next day, came in and bought a box because he enjoyed it. So, like for me, I got that. I got my kicks off that.
So,
You know,
all right. This next question is for the guys here. Have you guys? Do you guys still try to translate the women in your lives, da 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 da, or do you just let it go? Because every time you go da 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 da, I'm like trying to think. Okay, what is da 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 da? Because I know each of them are going to be different. I can't figure this out. I I I can't say I can honestly say I've never been overwhelmed by a cigar lounge or a cigar shop, retail shop. Even in my very first one, in the very first cigar I ever bought, I went in there. I was determined, and I was like, I'm in Texas, go big or go home, and I went right for the most expensive cigar I could find and smoked it. Now wine and liquor stores, and walking into a really big liquor store. And I'm not talking total wine kind of liquor store. I'm talking about, your local liquor store that they've got like 3 to 400 facings. Or a wine shop. When I just first got into liquors or spirits, I just first got into wines. On this, absolutely 100% overwhelmed.
yes.
Thank you, Frederick. Thank you, Frederick. Yes, my response to da 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 is yes, dear. Yep, 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 yep. All right. So, billionaire comes back and says, when I started smoking cigar, I thought number one, you had to spend a lot of money for a good cigar. Yep. And number
I sneak
two,
that in. Like when they walk in, I want your most expensive cigar. Why? Ask them why. They're like,
yep,
oh, it's going to be the best. No, I
no,
can show you something where you can get more cigars for that same price.
and the best cigars are won in the magazines. Yep, I thought that at one point in time until I got into the industry, and 100%, 100%. No, that doesn't mean the ones in the magazines are bad cigars because they're not, but they're the ones that typically pay for the advertising on it, and
Well,
are good cigars, but they're not the best always.
I and I want to say you have to be careful on that because it depends on the magazine. Because some of them are true reviews, but
Ours,
a lot, yeah.
ours.
Like if you go, you're gonna get a true review because we're gonna say it like it is. And that's when other people send me and say, I want your feedback. Like I'll have people send me cigars and they're like, I really want your feedback. And I'm like, first of all, this is my thing. I said, if you're gonna get butt hurt and cry, then don't send it to me because I'm gonna give you my honest feedback.
I say the same thing. I mean, even when we had Oliver from United Cigar on the show, and we had Miguel from
Crown head.
Crown Heads, and we talked about it. I mean, we smoked the Ozinger from the Ozinger family, CAO. Tim Ozinger, back into it, and Tim's got lots of respect in the industry. We scored his cigar at I think it was at an 82. Miguel
Yeah.
came back and said thank you. Most people won't give us an honest review. What you'll never see us say is that this is a bad cigar, or this is a bad coffee, or this is a bad
Yeah.
whiskey, or a bad wine,
Or bad beer.
or bad beer. But what you will see us say is that this does not match our profile. Here's what I think we could do to
What?
make it better. And every single one of our reviews. And please go out to our website, leafandgrainsociety.com, and check out our reviews. You'll see that our guy Joe and Gabe, and when I get reviews out there, that we're writing reviews for the consumer, not for the magazine. Which leads us into his next question: is how do you feel about cigar ratings in magazines? Depends upon the magazine. I don't want to mention any of the
Is
magazines,
we're not
but
going to mention those.
some of the magazines, are the ratings are because of the advertising money, or the ratings include tasting profiles and notes
I
that
like
are just
where I'm from.
outrageously not realistic. And I joke about one of them of the meatloaf latticed with bacon in a honey glazed barbecue sauce. Sorry, you never got that note from a cigar. Absolutely not. Can guarantee it.
It might
It
have
may have
reminded
reminded you, yeah,
me of
it may have
one
reminded you of it,
bite that you had, but
but
it's
that's not what you got of it.
yeah.
And I'll say it reminds me this cigar. There's notes on this that reminded me of a key lime pie. So what's the predominant note that I'm getting? Well, it's either I'm getting a little bit of citrus from that lime, or I'm getting some of the creaminess from the meringue, or
Right.
I'm getting the graham cracker from the crust. All notes that you can get, but you're not going to get a key lime pie.
Yeah. My favorite one that I've read, and I was like, at first I thought it was a joke, and then I went to the magazine and it actually said, reminded me of like a hot dog with ketchup and mustard. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, did you have some like Mary Jane before you had that cigar? Or like, what? Were you real chill? Rooms? Like, what was it? What hallucinant? You know? But yeah. But we're not going to say which magazine that is because we're not here to bash. But you've got to be
No.
careful about when you read that, and people laugh and they make fun of them, you know. And that one is like, if I see that author, I'm not gonna freaking like ever read any of his. I'm gonna laugh, about it.
But that magazine, I absolutely love the news articles that they get. I don't trust their ratings, but
Yeah,
the rest, the news articles and the rest of what they put out, absolutely. If I'm wanting to see some news right off the bat in the cigar industry, that's where I'm going to. But I am excited to say that we published on leafandgrainsociety.com the announcement of the ruling of the FDA ruling today before they did.
yeah. That's
I was like, we got it before them. We got it before them.
what one thing that I will say is I like it when they have a panel that does the same cigar. I
That
always
that I do. Yes.
panels. I think those are really, really cool because different people get different things. Usually, you and I kind of get the same thing, so like we wouldn't make up a good panel.
There's things that we've gotten
Yeah,
different notes on, but here's the difference in the way that we here's the difference in the way that we approach it as opposed to other. We take it down to what the base notes are. And so, we don't say we get that triple meat um, meatloaf. We come back and go, I'm getting a lot of really gamey meat notes,
right.
gamey
Are
notes
from
from
my
this.
friends, you know,
Yes,
we're specific.
we are very specific. Joe says, I so thought I was tripping when I got pesto sauce note on the. I know because you messaged me. You said, am I out of my mind thinking that I get the pesto sauce from it? And my answer back to Joe was, no, you're not tripping.
No,
But what you're getting what you're getting is some very much herbaceous type notes
Mhm.
that is, like, so maybe you're getting a little bit of basil, or maybe you're getting a little bit of cilantro, which are
Right.
both components of a basil pesto sauce. Or,
Right.
maybe you're getting those oily olive oil notes, which are all
Mhm.
components of it. 100% is what it reminds you of, and then you utilize a pairing wheel and you draw down into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you
100.
don't have a pairing wheel, go out to our website, go over to happenings and downloads, and there you can find our pairing wheel, which is one of the largest that you'll ever find because
Yeah.
it crosses all of them.
Coffees, beers, wines, nuts.
Okay, does seeing a celeb in a magazine or social media smoking a cigar make you curious about that cigar, or is it not a factor? I mean, for me personally, I think it's a cool factor, um, but it doesn't change anything that I'm seeing on the cigar. I mean, I saw a a video that Arnold Schwarzenegger did a while back, to where he was talking about dipping the cigar into the tip of it into a brandy, and how that just completely changed his notes from it. And I'm like thinking, okay, that's cool. That's the way a lot of Cubans smoke their cigars, with rum instead.
Right. But I was like, duh, it's gonna taste it because you gotta.
Yes,
You're gonna.
you're gonna get brandy notes off of it. I mean, do you want a brandy cigar, or do you want a cigar?
Yeah. Or why not drink the brandy while you're enjoying the cigar?
And pairing them and seeing how they complement or contrast each other. So yeah, no. Now, I would, what, as we're moving forward with our magazine and our website, and if you haven't noticed, we are publishing content on the website on a weekly basis, and
Yeah.
sometimes bi-weekly. I mean, multiple times during the week. We are going to be going to a PDF EPUB, articles written for an e-publication of a magazine, on a quarterly basis. But the difference in ours and a lot of other EPUBs is that we're not going to be regurgitating articles that's already been printed,
Right.
that's already been published on the website. These are going to be articles that you haven't seen on the website, only for the magazine itself, only for the EPUB. And one of the things I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to interview people in the industry or celebrities, and talk to them about, about what it is that they do or what it is that they enjoy, and have that be key articles.
And here's my thing is I am too, like, someone says, "Oh yeah, this person," and I'm like they'll hear a song or they'll be like, "Oh, I like this singer," or "Oh, this football player is great," or "This actor is great." Y'all, I can't keep up with my own dadgum life. I really can't. When you have 5 kids, grandkids, and you're just trying to keep your life together, I I really can't tell you actors and actresses and singers, and I don't know them. I don't. And to me, it's like, and a lot of people give me crap about it. They're like, "Why don't you know it?" Well, I can't do it, and because I'm trying to keep up with my own life. And shoot, they put their pants on the same way I do. The way that-
100%. Yeah, to me, celebrities are just just another human being,
Yeah,
and
they don't.
I enjoy the movies they do. I enjoy the music they do. I enjoy, um, the sports that they play, the entertainment that they provide. But they are just another human being to me, and I don't place any value in what they have to say because of who they are.
And I like how Joe said it. He's like, I'd rather the blend and tasting notes be displayed versus the cigar displayed in a person's hand. And,
I agreed.
and I'm gonna go on there because, like, on like my other podcasts that I do, they were talking about no one cares about the blend, no one cares, blah 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 blah. I didn't say anything. I just kind of let that guest go on, about things. And there's a backstory to that, but I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, people do care. The regular people do care because they're pairing it with someone. We want to know the blend. We want to know that. For for the people smoking the huge ring gauges, or the
Are the ones that saying that people don't care about the blends?
yeah. Uh, Ever since COVID, I think the cigar consumer has become more into it. They care about it, and they want to know. They do.
That they're much more educated,
Yeah.
and I think we need to take a little bit of credit in what we've been doing in helping grow that knowledge and awareness. Um, so billionaire along the lines of dipping, I've heard that some people dip their cigar in different types of alcohol, like a cigar dipped in cognac. And I've done that. I've dipped it in cognac, brandy, rum, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's nice, but it's not something that I do every single time. It's like the first couple of draws, I'll dip in it, and then continue on with it. Do you think you can dip a cigar in coffee and that add to the flavor? Absolutely.
Yeah, if anything, coffee's going to do more. But here's my thing: I don't want it because if it's not, I don't want that to overpower my cigar. I don't because
No.
what if bad? Bleh, I'm stuck with that for several puffs, and I don't want to do it. I can get the same thing from holding the liquid in my mouth and taking a puff. I can get the same satisfaction.
100% agree. I have done that, and I've done it on a numerous occasions. I've dipped it in rum out of respect to the person that I was smoking a cigar with, and she asked that I did this because she said this is what how they would smoke cigars at from her home in Cuba, and I'm absolutely going to respect her on that. Was it enjoyable? Yes, absolutely, 100% it was enjoyable. We did it. I brought her some cohibas, and we 100% did it that way because that's what she asked, and it was out of respect to her. Do I do it all the time? I think in my 32 years of smoking cigars, I've done it 3 times.
And I would have said, that's great, but I can get the same sensation by doing it this way. Let me
Yeah.
educate you on this way. I'm not as nice as Graybeard.
Well, she's in her 70s, so it was one of those cases.
Even if my dad at 90 asked me that, I'd be like, nope, I love you, Pop, and you're an old man, and if, but yeah, no.
And again, it comes back down to smoke them how you want to enjoy them.
Mm.
I mean, I can honestly say I have never smoked an infused cigar,
I
and
haven't,
never will.
no.
Never will. Even my ex partners, because she likes smoking infused cigars, and I would light them the way that I like my cigar now without putting it up to my mouth, and then I would hand it to her, and then if she needed it relit, touched up, then I would do that, but never taken a draw on one, never put. Now I have smoked a deadwood, a sweet tipped, and I did that one time, and I'll never go back to it because that sugar, that sweet tip, just overpowered the cigar all the way through.
I had a sweet tip, and I'm not gonna say. And someone sent me a sweet tip. One of our friends, Graybeard, sent me a sweet tip, and very very sweet. Uh, and it felt like I was smoking, like drinking sweet tea
Yeah,
as I was smoking the cigar. And
I have been given.
I'm not a, I don't like sweet things, which is really weird because I love my sweet tea. I think it's because my mom's from Alabama. I would go out to Alabama, have sweet tea. So it's more of a childhood thing that plays into it. I like my tea sweet. Um, but I only drink the sweet tea, like the sweet tea, whenever I go to Alabama. Like the sweet tea I drink now, my kids criticize. They're like, "Mom, it's not sweet enough." Um, but like for me, yeah, I'm just not like It's not for me.
Now, I have been given some acids, um, and I've given them away. All right. A question for billionaire asks a question directly to me. How do you like Lagavulin? I absolutely love Lagavulin. Lagavulin 16 is great. I've got my Ron Swanson Lagavulin 11 sitting in there, and I think that expression. I love the overall balance of it much more than the 16, and the 16 is phenomenal. I love my smoky scotches. And I love my peated scotches. And Lagavulin is not peated, it's smoky. There's peat in it, but it's smoky. It's not a peated scotch.
Okay. I'm out of cigar. I'm sad.
I'm okay. So remember how badly the
Yeah.
wrapper exploded? Just continue smoking it, and it is you would never have been able to know and
No.
tell. And I didn't unravel it. I would touch it up, and the reason why I touched it up is because as you know it burns, it's going to collapse in. It collapsed in and allowed it to continue growing until it just came back and it was burned down past the breaking. I'm
I,
wanting to know is this hint on Lagavulin as to who billionaire is because that doesn't help me.
I, I don't know. I do want to come up say something. I had someone message. I saw earlier. Okay, so I'm going to address this because I've had several messages. I've had people ask me. There's a new trend going around where women are all in pink and they're doing this Barbie stuff.
Oh Lord.
And so I'm going to like put this out here right now. He says yes to answer your question. I think you need to give him another hint. So, y'all, I'm not. If you look at me, how often do I wear pink? I think I maybe only have like 3 or 4 pink things in my wardrobe. I'm not doing a cigar with Barbie girl, y'all. Not. It's not gonna happen.
Thank
It, it's
you.
it's not. First of all, yes, I played with Barbies. I love playing with Barbies with my sister. I had a massive collection of Barbies. I had the biggest Barbie house that was available. I had Barbie cars, all this stuff. I love Barbie. But my daughter asked me to take her to the movie. I said, the only way I will take you to the movie is if we can go to a movie theater where I can have alcohol while I watch the movie. I will probably be like not a responsible adult. And then I said we would have to have an Uber and we'd have to get mommy a babysitter. So yeah, not gonna do it. Not a Barbie girl. So I'm just gonna address that. Sorry, y'all.
Taboo cigar. Lagavulin.
Those are two. That is like a huge hit with the taboo.
Okay, because I know a lot of people at
We both know them. You know, I don't
Taboo.
know a lot of people at Taboo. I only know like 2 people, 2 or 3, but
See,
they know.
I don't know who you know from Taboo. Other than um other than Queenie, because I met her from Taboo.
No,
I know a number of people from Taboo, but
it's not a female.
well, no, I didn't figure as much from going by billionaire. The one who introduced me to Lagavulin was at Taboo.
Who was it?
Um,
Do you remember?
I'm no, I don't remember. I need a lifeline, Nash. Yes, I do. I need a lifeline because I've smoked so many cigars with them, and I don't know, can't think of anybody that would
Uh,
go by billionaire.
but I think they're 6 foot in the height. I think 6 foot. Um, for a while, they posted a lot about fitness. Well, I want to say like walks. They would walk a lot, like walk, walk, or they're working out. They're working out to maintain their health. Single. Well, they were taken for a while. They were in a relationship for like a while, and then they became single.
There's only one person. You asked me early last week about Lagavulin. It's not Willie. Willie, is it? Willie never goes by. Um, Willie never goes by billionaire that I've ever known of. And I know he's into fitness, and I know we've talked about Lagavulin, and I'm wanting to say, holy fuck, it is Willie.
I didn't say anything. I deliberately took a glass of wine so you could not see my face. I like this was me because I didn't want to give it away. Yeah, it's Willie.
So a couple of months back, I stopped back in at I stopped back in at Taboo. This is when I think football was still going on, or we were in the playoffs or something of last year, and Willie and I enjoyed a couple of drinks and enjoyed a couple of cigars in the members lounge, and we reminisced. Willie is my brother.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's good. Like I like for the longest time, I was like, as he was posting these questions, I was like, I messaged him and I was like, he has no effing clue who you are. So like Willie and I have been like totally uh like known about this and we've talked about this and we've kind of been laughing our butts off. Like I'm like, he has no idea. Like
well,
we've met.
see, what threw me off is because I think I want to remember you saying at one point in time that billionaire was actually really a billionaire, and if that's the case, Willie, I had no idea. And dude, um, major congrats if you really are. Hell yeah, good.
It is Willie. It is because like the first time I didn't know, and then he kind of said something, and I'm like, "Hey, dude," I was like, "Is that you?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's me." So
Well, when he said I asked you early last week about Lagavulin, I'm like, the only one that's asked me anything about Lagavulin was Willie, because he was asking me about which one was my favorite, and I had mentioned the Levin, and he had asked what cigars would go good with it.
yeah, he said he was even gonna like pre-do this so you would know. Like he was setting it up so you could guess it like right off the bat. Yeah, because you've known him.
Damn,
Yeah.
damn. Okay, cool, very cool.
Mhm. So
I was wondering why Willie wasn't coming on to the shows because brother, you've been a part of Leaf and Grain Society pretty much from day one. I
yeah,
mean, from day one, and we even talked about it when he and I were enjoying drinks and cigars together at Taboo, and and when Robin and I were still together, he would be sitting, especially in football season, he would be sitting over on the side, and every now and then the music would change. The music would change, and everybody, especially Rihanna would go, Willie, are you running the music? Because it was a digital jukebox, and we all had it hooked up to our phones.
yeah.
Okay, so one of the last questions we're going to take before we wrap this up. What type of cigar pairs well with Pete? I'm scared. Um, I'm going to tell you my go-to cigar whenever I'm smoking Pete, and Ray could probably tell you before I even say it, but it's the Tabernacle Foundation.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. You didn't let me.
It, anything Nicaraguan,
Yeah.
um, anything Nicaraguan, especially your if you can find some Nicaraguan that you know comes from Condego or you know comes from Ometepe, go with those first over the Esteli. Um,
Yeah.
but
Don't. Yeah.
you
Those
want
are
a
definitely.
you want a full intensity, spicy, ashy, peppery cigar with a full body. I mean, you've got that viscosity, you've got that weight in the body of the cigar to step up to that peat and especially step up to that smokiness. Um, that having been said, I have smoked a number of Sumatras, Dominican Sumatras and Ecuadorian Sumatras with Ardbeg and Oas. And those are some of my favorite pairings too. And Ardbeg and Oas are very peaty.
And I'm gonna say, don't be scared. Explore it. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. There are some great cigars. What one of my favorite?
Too, so it's
What's
okay.
that?
I
What?
said I'm scared too, so it's okay, Joe.
A Christoph pissed off Christoph with a Lafroig 10 or a Lagavulin 16 or an Oban, which are going to be your very smoky scotches. Beautiful pairings. Beautiful pairings.
This is when you can go big and enjoy it.
Yeah, porcelain.
Now, I was gonna say porcelain.
Porcelain. Warwich.
Ah,
That's one of Eric's favorite pairings.
yep. Or
Is
which,
the Warwich with a smoky or peaty Scotch.
and that's what you had
Yep.
when he came on.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry, I had to turn the fan back on because like my garage door is down, so I'm like in a box of metal.
Well, we're wrapping this up. I want to encourage everybody and send this out. Anybody who has been on the show, watch the show, let everybody know because is going to be a next week is going to be a celebration.
I was like,
Next
oh, what
week
are we doing this week? What are we
ne-
doing?
next week, I don't know what we're going to pair yet. I'm going to come up with a pairing because she came up with the pairing when we did the show that was my birthday. I'm going to come up with the pairing, something special for my beautiful co-host and business partner, my baby sister, because you're my baby sister. You're 10 years younger than me. You're my baby sister, and you know how I love you. Next week is her birthday on this show, so let's blow this up to celebrate the the only beautiful fine ash red.
Like, I seriously was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what are we doing? I like, and here's my thing is like, I really, and you can ask Graybeard, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm like most women where I'm like, you need to celebrate me the whole effing month. I would almost rather forget my birthday. And it's not because of the age and I'm getting older. Uh, in fact, here's my thing. I have to make a correction because I don't keep up with how old I am. I really don't. My kids have to remind me how old I am. And I'm sitting there telling everybody, like, oh, I'm this age. And then my daughter was like, Mom, how old did you say you were? And I was like, I'm 46. I'm 46. And she's like, No, Mom, you're 45.
You're
I don't
gonna
even
be
keep up with,
46.
yeah, I'm going to be 46. I don't even keep up. See, like, that's where I am on this because I really don't give a flying. Um, where I do
Red,
have.
Red, look what Frederick just said.
Oh, I'm scared.
Because I
That's right.
said you're 10 years younger than me,
Yeah.
and then look what Joe. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, Joe.
yeah. I saw Joe's comment. That's why I was laughing my ass off on that one. Yes. So,
Love you, Joe.
and my thing is like I have some phenomenal cigars that I usually reserve for my birthday, like the day of my birthday. But because it's all during a weekday, I am not going to partake in those. I usually smoke an Opus X Purple Rain from 2017. It's my favorite year. But there's also a reason because our dear friend Jimmy sent me the first Purple Rain Opus X that I've just continued, like for my birthday. He would send those to me. I'd smoke them for my birthday. Um, but like I wait to the weekend because I just need a day where I'm not talking and I'm just enjoying me to enjoy that. This year, I think that I'm going to smoke from I Know a Guy. He sent me the Goldie that was rolled the very first year. The very first year. And I was gonna wait till my 50th birthday, but like I'm like, fuck, anything could happen. I'm not gonna wait any longer. So that's gonna be a weekend birthday smoke. So I have a Opus X. I have a Goldie. I also have the unicorn from Steve Saka that is over a year old that was given to me.
Well,
So that's
the
gonna be.
what the I'm going to tell you what I'm smoking on Wednesday.
Oh, okay, you're smoking something. Okay, what are you smoking?
I already know
Yeah,
what I'm
you
smoking.
told me the challenge because you're picking out the challenge.
Well, it's going to be a smoke and a drink. I haven't figured out the drink yet. The cigar that I'm smoking is the one that we picked up when we went to Cigar Art, and this has been what 2 years
Oh, you
ago.
know, that's one of my favorites.
I have not smoked it yet, and I'm going to be smoking it on Wednesday, and that's the Labella.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorites. I have like a box of those. Well,
You've
they
got
say
like the last box that's
I
in
got the
existence
last
of it.
box that was ever that's like it. Yeah, yeah, and I don't touch those unless it's for something, you know.
Well, what we're drinking is something that you've been wanting to do for a while too. In fact, we talked about it as well.
I'm
Uh,
wondering if I was thinking that I was going to suggest. If it is, it's like going to freak the f out of me because we're on.
uh, the white sangria.
Met someone who's on the Reds EDU Diag team at Wild. Oh, very cool. That's awesome. I didn't know there was like another me out at Wild that was a
Did,
Diag. That's awesome.
so white sangria with
Okay.
a special cigar of your choice.
Okay. I might just do the same thing.
I'm doing the labella with a white sangria.
Huh. I think
And
I
do you
think
remember what you said for my birthday? What we did on my birthday?
I can't remember what I did yesterday, Graybeard. You know.
We did a nice steak.
Oh yeah, we did.
Because that was back in May when it wasn't 100 degrees, and I'm not going to recommend us doing food because frankly I don't want to eat out here in this heat.
Like
Uh,
I do like a little cupcake or something just because you know.
you do a little cupcake, and maybe I'll do like a fine cheese, and I know you can't do cheese
I can
because
do
yeah,
some cheese. There's certain cheeses that I can do that don't affect lactose. So I'll have to think.
maybe a nice goat cheese.
Yeah, that's what I think that like I would like almost yeah, cigar pairing a party. Yeah. Um
Look
yeah,
look
cuz like
look at
I like
I'm
the
I'm
cheese.
down to the nub. I mean I'm getting
I mine to the nub too.
and that's what I love about the double perfectos or the double bellicosas, which this one was a little bit more of a double bellicosa rather than a perfecto. But you kind of get the best of both worlds, is where you
Yeah,
get that nice big, heavier bodied. Still, this one is still medium body, but you get that heavier
yeah,
body from the combustion in the middle, and you get all the flavor at the beginning and the end.
yeah. And that's how mine was. I was like, oh, it came out with the third, like at the very end, it came out with a new flavor, and it was like yum, yum, yum.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for jumping on with us. I hope you like the new format. We're continuing refining the format. Um, we're looking for sponsors now. We've got a segment on here with the news and events. This is going to be an ongoing segment. If you have the ability and want to sponsor us for this, please contact myself on this. So and we'll talk and we'll
And you
put
can
together
contact
some
me,
price.
but I'm going to send you to Graybeard.
Yes, I was going to say you could send it. You could talk to Red, but she's sending it to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm back at work.
and we've got some new segments that we're going to do, and I'm going to introduce another new segment next week that Red doesn't know about because she's enjoying the surprises, and I'm going to continue surprising her.
I do. And I did a bottle kill on my wine.
I did it because my wine is warmed up, and
Yeah.
I
But
I ne-
I'm enjoying this like warm, and I know, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. I had a big A bottle too.
you did. My bottle is small, and I almost killed my bottle, and I probably will either tonight or maybe tomorrow. I'm probably going to do it tomorrow because I want to chill it back down.
Yeah.
But another great show, lots of fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Frederick. You said great show.
Yes, thank you, Frederick. Love your feedback on this. I do have to give a shout out to Joe. Joe is part of Leaf and Grain Society on the back end now. He's part of the website team and helping out with the website, and he's also really kind of part of the Twisted Pair team as he's given recommendations on things that we can do to make our show even better.
And on as a guest, like whenever I'm unavailable, I try not to miss that. Like when I miss, it is for like a reason. It's not because I just need a mental day. It is for like I didn't have connection or my daughter had eye surgery.
Right.
So it's like when I miss, it is for like a good reason. And Joe has always stepped in, and so I appreciate it. So thank you for that too, Joe. Try
Thank you.
some wine. You
Yes,
said
Joe.
the PD Scotch wine. Joe, will you do wine for my birthday? Will you do that? I'm calling him out. I'm challenging you, Joe. Joe. Will you do wine, please, for my birthday? Please. Come
Come on, Joe. I want to see a commitment. Wine
Joe,
for Red's
wine.
birthday. All right, it's
Yay!
public. It is public.
Thanks, Joe.
All right,
See, the more you know, Joe,
that's right. Explore the pairings.
because there's something for everyone. Y'all have a great night.
Y'all have a great night. Thank you.